What we're going to do now is graph hyperbolas in vertex form. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find the vertex form, and then what we're going to do is we're going to graph them. There's two different types of hyperbolas. There's one where our x is in the front, and that right there would be a parabola going left and right, not parabola, hyperbola. Then there's one where the y squared is in the front, and that one is going up and down. So those are the two different types of hyperbolas that we're going to be graphing. So the first thing that we want to do is find our new c value. So we have x squared minus 2x. We take the negative 2, divide it by 2 and square it, and that gives us 1. Then we factor out the negative 4. Y squared minus 2y, divide it by 2 and square it, that gives us a 1, equals 4 plus 1, and then this right here would be negative 4. So we're going to factor it as x minus 1 squared minus 4 y minus 1 squared equals 1. And then divide everything by 1. This one's a little tricky because we have the x minus 1 squared over 1, and then this right here is going to become y minus 1 squared over 1/4. We're going to divide by the 4, and that's equal to 1. So when we're graphing this, the center is going to be 1, 1. So we plot the 1, 1, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go take the square root of 1, and that's going to go to the right one and then to the left one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the square root of 1/4, and that goes up a half and it goes down a half. So what we do is we make our imaginary box. Now we're going to draw our asymptotes through it. And since the x is positive, what we're going to do is we're going to make it go left and right. So looking at the next one, with this one right here, what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to organize the numbers in order. So I have the 9 because it's positive, y squared. I'm going to bring over the 36. Then I have the negative 4x squared plus the 24x, and that's equal to the 36. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out a 9, and that gives me y squared minus 4y. I'm going to divide by 4 and square it, which gives me 4. Then I factor out a negative 4, and that gives me x squared minus 6x. Divided by 2 and square it, that gives me a 9. And that's equal to, and then I have the 36. 9 times 4 is 36. Negative 4 times 9 is negative 36. So when I factor it, I get 9. Y minus 2 squared minus 4. X minus 3 squared equals 36. So I'm going to set equal to 1. So I divide it by 36. And what that gives me is y minus 2 squared over 4. And then I have x minus 3 squared over 9 equals 1. So the center is going to be 3, 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shift over my axis in order to fit it on there. And so what I have is I have 3, 2. And then I'm going to make my box. So the square root of 4 is 2. So I'm going to go up 2, down 2. The square root of 9 is 3. So left 3, right 3. I make my imaginary box, and what it does is it helps me graph my asymptotes. So I'm going to go from corner to corner. And when I look at this, what I notice is that my y value is the positive one. So that means that I'm going to go up and down. So the box helps guide me, and the asymptotes guide me, so I can draw my hyperbola. So for the next one, I'm going to do the same thing. What I want to do is find my c value. So I'm going to factor out a 9, and I get x squared minus 4x. Divide by 2 and square it. And then I'm going to factor out a -1. And that's y squared minus 8y. Divide by 2 and square it. Equals, I move the 16 over. 9 times 4 is 16. -1 times 16 is -16. And 9 times 4 is not 16, it is 36. So I'm going to factor out, and I get, I'm going to factor, so I get x minus 2 squared minus, and then I have y minus 4 squared equals 36. I'm going to divide it by 36. And that gives me x minus 2 squared over 4 minus, and then I have y minus 4 squared over 36 equals 1. So my center is going to be 2, 4. Now these numbers are a little bit larger, so I'm going to do two things. I'm going to move over the axis just slightly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go by 2s. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So when I graph this, what I have is I have the 2, 4. So 2, 4, if I go by 2s. And then I'm going to draw my imaginary box. Square root of 4 is 2. So I go over 2. And then the square root of 36 is 6. So 2, 4, 6. So this right here and then I'm going to draw my asymptotes that go from corner to corner. And since the x is in the front, that means it's going to go left and right. So I'm going to go make my hyperbola to the left and to the right. Last one, what we're going to do is we're going to organize everything. So I have the 4y squared plus 8y minus 25x squared is equal to 96. Then I'm going to factor out a 4, so that gives me y squared plus 2y. I'm going to divide it by 2 and square it, so that gives us a 1 minus 25x squared, and then equals 96 plus 4. So I factor it, 4y plus 1 squared minus 25x squared equals 100. I divide it by 100. And so I get y plus 1 squared over 25 minus x squared over 4 is equal to 1. So the center is 0 and then -1. Now when I'm going to graph this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it over. Now I'm going to keep it the same. I'm going to go slightly over. So I have the center at 0, -1. And then my box, the square root of 25 is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It fits nicely there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not so nice here. The square root of 4 is 2. So right 2, left 2. I draw my imaginary box. And then notice that the y's are in front. So it probably would have been a smart idea if I was really thinking about it. Actually, let's just redo it. It is not going to be easy to see. So let's go by twos. So if we go by twos, and it's kind of awkward just because we've got some odd numbers. So if we go by twos, then that means that 0, -1 is going to be the halfway. We're going to take the square root of 25, so this would be 5, which would be 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5. Square root of 4 is 2, so we're going to go right 2, left 2. This is going to be a little bit easier in the sense of we can actually see what our graph is going to look like. And it's going to go up and down. So notice that we actually have it in there. A little bit harder to graph when we're going by twos, but in the end, it turned out nicer.